Radio Disney, and she worked with Disney, helping them with their events as well. So now I would like to turn it over and welcome our guest speaker to kick off our 2021 SACS Boots on the Ground, reaching out to our community speaker, and that's Maureen Mickle. Go ahead, Maureen.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And first and foremost, just want to say thank you to you all for doing this initiative for us. We really, really appreciate it. And it's very, very needed right now. But for those of you who aren't necessarily familiar with what we do at Second Harvest, we are the largest network for food assistance in Central Florida, and essentially try to collect all the excess food in the community and get it into the hands of people who are in need. We do this through a network of 550 feeding partners in 6 counties in Central Florida. So people aren't actually coming to Second Harvest to pick up food. They're going to one of our feeding partners. We do this for a couple different reasons. Prior to the pandemic, we were distributing about 150,000 meals every single day. We're now doing 300,000. It's doubled. It almost instantaneously doubled, but we wouldn't be able to get out those 150,000 meals if we were doing it directly from the food bank. And then we also just want to make it easy for folks in need to go to their local food pantry, just like you and I go to our local grocery store. So we want to make sure that they have those feeding partners in those 6 counties where they have easy access to that food. So like I said, the need basically instantly doubled last March. We're almost coming up on a year now since the pandemic began. 1 in 6 of our neighbors are in need of food assistance, and that number is continuously growing because prior there was already a need. There are folks who are living paycheck to paycheck, had an unfortunate circumstance come up, and we don't want families to have to choose between putting food on the table or buying medication for a kid if they get sick, or putting tires on their car so they can get to work and putting food on the table. These aren't choices that families should have to make. So we really wanted to make sure that food is accessible to them. But we're seeing as the tourism industry has been affected, and restaurants and so many companies, people are finding themselves in need for the very first time. So we're really rallying as a community, as you guys are as well, helping everybody out. It's just time for all of us to help our neighbors and make sure that everybody gets through this. It's an unprecedented event that nobody could have seen coming. So it's just really important that we all get together and make sure that our neighbors have the essential need that they need. Everybody needs food, right? So we are really, really grateful for you guys getting involved. For every dollar donated for that funds drive, $9 worth of groceries is able to be provided to our community. So there's a really good return on investment there. Those critical need items are really wonderful as well. A lot of staples like your meals in cans, proteins in cans, peanut butter, things that are really substantial for families are really great for that food drive. And then volunteering is so important as well. Without our volunteers, we wouldn't be able to get the food out to those 550 feeding partners. We're pushing out about 2.4 million pounds of food every single week. And the production meals that you all will be working in is a new initiative that we have that we've created since the pandemic started, where it's called Bring Hope Home.
My apologies, guys. I accidentally hit a button. I'm sorry, guys. This is so me screwing up. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry, everybody. I did, but it's set for 30 seconds or something like that.
Everybody's coming back in.
Yep.
Just gotta remember they gotta unmute themselves.
Really
Are
sorry.
we supposed to be out in the break room?
No, Judith hit a button by accident.
Okay.
Oops.
Yep. Oops. Sorry, Maureen.
That's
I'm so
okay.
sorry, Maureen.
Hold on, Maureen.
It won't happen again.
That's okay. I was waiting for it to come back, and Kelly said, "Can't we just leave the room or something?" And I was like, "What a great idea!"
Yeah.
So here we are.
Maureen, I think when we're ready, I think you were, you cut off, where I heard you cut off was when you were kind of going into what we'll be doing with the production.
Production.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
A minute or
I
two
didn't
left.
even realize we were in a different room.
I apologize. That won't happen again.
All right. Anyway, you have another minute or so if you want to finish, Maureen.
Okay, sure. So yes, for volunteering with the production meals, it's for a new initiative that we have since the pandemic started called Bring Hope Home. So for our neighbors in need, maybe seniors or people who are at risk for having adverse effects to COVID, really just need to stay home and stay safe. We have our volunteers creating these meals, and then we have rideshare service volunteers like Uber Eats that are they're distributing the meals. They're delivering them directly to the folks in their home to make sure that they're staying safe. So that's something that you all will be helping with. Those meals also go out to kids who are doing the virtual learning now. So they don't have access to the free and reduced breakfast and lunch in the school system. So they'll have meals delivered to their home. So it's very important. We're very, very grateful that you all are getting involved and helping out. This is like no other time that we've seen at the food bank and the need in Central Florida. So just want to say thank you again to all of you for helping out in any capacity. Food, funds, or volunteering is greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Very
Maureen.
excited
Everybody give a
about
hand
this.
for our guest speaker. Thank you.
I love hearing about the production. I knew we were going to be working on meals, but I hadn't taken enough time to understand where they're going. So that's wonderful. Wonderful.
Well,
Thank you so much for being with us this morning. I hope, do you want to say anything else, Kelly? I think we're all excited and ready to go, and keep watching your emails. And anytime you get a call from Kelly, pick up, or Joey, and answer, because it's going to be a big group effort for a while.
Thank you so much, Maureen, and I'll be in touch. We really appreciate you coming today and just sharing all the wonderful things that Second Harvest is doing in our community.
Well,
And,
thank you very much. I appreciate it. And if you guys are interested, I do have another virtual tour this Tuesday at 10 a.m. The information can be found at feedhopenow.org/tour if you want to learn all the ins and outs.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you all.
Thank
You're
you.
certainly welcome to stay for service if you like or not. But it was
Thank
good
you.
to see you and meet you this morning.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having me. I appreciate it.
And I just want to say, I'll see you guys. Anybody who wants to drop off food tomorrow between 5 and 7 at church, I'm going to be there.
Got
Be
it.
there or be square.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, so much excitement. So let's turn now to our morning service. Settle back in and know that we are together this morning, holding a wide range of emotions in our hearts. Among them, anger and disbelief over the insurrection and the tragic events at our nation's capital last week. Joy at the inauguration of a new president this coming week. And today, respect for the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King's philosophy of nonviolence while working towards beloved community is a global vision in which all people can share in the wealth of the earth. In the beloved community, poverty, hunger, and homelessness will not be tolerated because international standards of human decency will not allow it. Racism and all forms of discrimination, bigotry, and prejudice will be replaced by an all-inclusive spirit of sisterhood and brotherhood. While this may seem further away than ever after last week's events, we owe to him and to ourselves to continue the work and to not lose hope. Last night, I listened to the National Council of Churches virtual interfaith prayer service titled Reflection, Lament, and Hope, held for those who work at and protect the U.S. Capitol and also for our nation. The Rabbi Danya Rutenberg read excerpts of a poem by Puerto Rican Jewish poet Aurora Levins Morales, based on the V'avata, Deuteronomy 6, verses 5 through 9. I'm sharing this with you this morning because of the hope these words brought to me. Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return, in times of mourning and in times of joy. Inscribe them on your doorposts, embroider them on your garments, tattoo them on your shoulders, teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies. Recite them in your sleep, here in the cruel shadow of empire. Another world is possible. Imagine winning. This is your sacred task. This is your power. Imagine every detail of winning, the exact smell of the summer streets in which no one has been shot, the muscles you have never unclenched from worry, gone soft as newborn skin, the sparkling taste of food when we know that no one on earth is hungry, that the beggars are fed, that the old man under the bridge and the woman wrapping herself in thin sheets in the back of a car, and the children who suck on stones, nest under a flock of roofs that keep multiplying their shelter. Lean with all your being towards that day when the poor of the world shake down a rain of good fortune out of the heavy clouds, and justice rolls down like waters. When you inhale and when you exhale, breathe the possibility of another world into the 37.2 trillion cells of your body until it shines with hope. Then imagine more. Don't waver. Don't let despair sink its sharp teeth into the throat with which you sing. Escalate your dreams. Make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way. Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion, and keep walking. Hold hands, share water, keep imagining, so that we and the children of our children's children may live. I will put her blog address in the chat room while we listen to our opening music, Let Justice Roll Down, so that you can read the entire poem.
Morally, I was led to nonviolence because I felt that it was the best moral way to deal with the problem. We were seeking to establish a just society. And it was my feeling then, and it is my feeling now, that violence is certainly much more socially destructive, and it creates many more social problems than it solves. So I was led to nonviolence for deep moral reasons, and I turned to it because I felt that it was the morally excellent way to deal with the problem of racial injustice in our country.
There is no freedom, the wise man said, let justice roll down, roll down. When the poor cry out for shelter and bread, let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Hatred will never drive out hate. Let love roll down, roll down. Remember, our hearts can make us great. Let love roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. And let your love roll down like a mighty stream. When brutality threatens our daughters and sons, let peace roll down, roll down. May our voices rise up louder than the guns. Let peace roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary. Walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. And let peace roll down like a mighty stream. Step by step, one by one, let justice roll down, roll down. They can kill the prophet, but the dream lives on. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary. Walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream.
I turned to it because I felt that it was the morally excellent way to deal with the problem of racial injustice in our country.
A big thank you to Eileen Vance and Leah Morris for that wonderful work. Please find your chalice if you have one and join me in the words on the screen. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And our affirmation that we hold among ourselves and our world. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. Welcome to all the guests we have in our virtual room this morning. We're glad you're here. We look forward to seeing you again. As we often say, our speakers and topics vary from week to week, yet they all point to our principles of our UU faith that bind us together in how we are in the world. So I hope you will continue to join us and come back and get to know us, because our faith has a lot to offer. So one of the traditions of our congregation and many other UU congregations around the world is to share our joys and concerns with each other so that they are lightened and we know that people are there to support us, or that we can share our joy and lift everyone else up along with them. So I'm going to turn to our wonderful joy and concerns facilitator, Amanda Majors, to lead us through this important ritual for our congregation.
for sharing. Let us lift up what was spoken or unspoken into the light of love. Let us hold that there for just a silent moment. And there it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Let's move on to Time for All Ages. Judith Stein Farrell.
Thank you. I am going to talk to you real briefly. Our theme this morning in the service is about shining light on and bringing self-awareness, I think, to ourselves in our process in the world. And in our religious education class this month, I focus on our second principle, which is justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. The word compassion needs a certain amount of maturity and awareness to get to. And as we get older, we get better at it. So what I'm going to do is invite you all, if there are kids in your house, invite them to the screen, and we're just going to look at slides. And I'll go through them calmly. Keep yourselves muted as you come across slides that have words. I invite you to recite the words aloud on a muted screen. And as pictures come up, consider the pictures. Consider the pictures and consider what you say, knowing that everything you say affects the people around you and sometimes your own inner being. And it will be silent otherwise. Martha, it's all yours.
Thank you, Judith. Our interlude and offering today, 40% of the plate donations will be added to our second harvest food drive fund. So please consider that, all you've seen so far, and please contribute as generously as you are able as we listen to this wonderful piece, The New World Coming.
There's a new world coming, and it's just around the bend. There's a new world coming, this one's coming to an end. There's a new voice calling, you can hear it if you try, and it's growing stronger with each day that passes by.
There's a new world coming, and it's just around the bend. There's a new world coming, this one's coming to an end. There's a new voice calling, you can hear it if you try, and it's growing stronger with each day that passes by.
There's a brand new morning, rising clear and sweet and free. There's a new day dawning that belongs to you and me. Yes, a new world coming, the one we had visions of, coming in peace, coming in joy, coming in love. Sing your own special song, make your own kind of music.
I remember the original from Mama Cass, and I loved that rendition. There's a new world coming every day we wake up, if we keep holding the hope and the courage to move forward. So that song can mean a lot of different things. So today, shining light on lessons learned. One of our Unitarian Universalist Fellowship members for many years is Paula Despang. And this morning, I forgot to ask Paula what she would like me to say about her to introduce her. So I will just turn it over to Paula, and you are welcome to move forward.
Okay, I finally figured out how to unmute myself. So for those who may not know me, I'm very involved. This church community means a great deal to me. I love all these people, you and you right there, and you and you. And let's see, what else should you know about me? I like to wear novelty socks, the ones with the designs and pictures on them. I like that. And I like to collect silly songs. So if you're thinking about giving me something for my birthday, no time soon, that's what I like. The silly songs are especially good as a collection item because they don't take up a lot of space to store and they don't cost very much. So they're always a lot of fun for me. What I'm going to tell you right now, first of all, is my story. And then I'm going to tell you what's important about that. Then I'm going to give everybody a chance. We talked about breakout rooms. So we'll all be in smaller groups, and every person will have a chance to answer 2 questions. And then we'll come back and I'll have some more things to say to the whole group. So I'll start with my story. This year we've talked, this year and last year, we've talked a lot about racism. It's important to look inside of ourselves and work on our own experiences without laying it on people of color around us. The feedback from the community of color is they don't want to deal with it. They have their own, thank you very much. We must do it ourselves. They will know when we have done this work because we will present ourselves to them quite differently. And so my experience, what I'm going to talk about is the way racism was taught to me. Bummer. It was taught to all of us in different ways, depending on our families and the people around us, our neighbors, our friends, our community, our congregations, our classmates, and media. And media has had a bigger influence every year as the whole media experience has just mushroomed in our society. Well, my experience, my father would talk about racism, but unfortunately, he talked out of both sides of his mouth. He was in the Navy and he came home one day to announce that there would be no more discrimination in the US military. Of course, current US military personnel will tell you that that hasn't worked out quite that way. But this was in the late 50s or early 60s that he told us this. And what he was trying to say was that we would no longer put all the recruits of color into separate units. They would be integrated, all the units would be integrated with each other so that there would be people of every color in every unit. It would no longer be this Black infantry unit over here and this, it would all be, everybody would all be mixed up. That's what he was trying to say. At the same time, my father often had comments to make about what we now call people of color, but that wasn't the word they used then, and that wasn't the word he used. And then he came home one day and announced that we weren't supposed to use the N word. That's not what he said, but we're not supposed to use the N word. And so, okay. I mean, I was a kid who accepted everything. I was actually the most compliant child in my family. I obeyed what I was told, better, not perfectly, of course, but better than my siblings. And so, okay, well, what do we say? And so we had other words. Colored people. Oh, well, that wasn't so. And then there was African Americans, and we'll try that. It sounds like a mouthful to a little kid. Unfortunately, at the same time, my dad continued to tell the same old jokes that he used to tell. And they often included the N word. And if they didn't, they were still often belittling people of color. And I loved my dad. That's, not unusual for kids. But it was just confusing to hear this mixed message from him. And very often his behavior reflected that he was more attuned to the joke message than he was to the very direct message that came out of his mouth to us. He often brought people home from whatever ship he was stationed on. A couple of the guys who hadn't had a home cooked meal in way too long, and he would bring them home, but he never brought home anybody of color. And I know this. I noticed it then, and I notice it now. And I also, because I loved my dad, you know, I wanted to be as cool as my dad, and I wanted to tell jokes too. And I did tell jokes. And I told some of my father's jokes. And I know that that hurt some of the people who heard them. It is on me to recognize where this came from and to recognize how it left me feeling when I first noticed the incongruity, the inconsistency, and to work with that feeling and with the division, you know, the people that made me feel separate from. So as an adult, I've worked very hard to deeply edit myself and remind myself that some words hurt, and it's up to me to discipline my mouth. Like everyone else, I grew up in a world full of assumptions, and not all are stated plainly out loud. Most are subtle and even nonverbal. For me, people used words because I had ignored their nonverbal signals. If I welcomed a Black student into my circle, I was called names with deep scorn, and the scorn and the name calling was meant to turn me away from the path of making friends with a Black classmate. When the year that our schools were first integrated, who remembers those times? Aha. Okay, I'm talking to my generation, I guess, because so many of you much younger never went to a segregated school. I did. So I ignored the scorn and the name calling that was directed at me. And when I did that, and they noticed that I wasn't going to yield to that kind of pressure, I was ostracized by my white classmates. When I tried to defend my decision to them, I was dismissed completely. And this, in spite of the fact that part of this happened while I was attending a Christian school, compounding my confusion and breaking my heart. I also attended a Christian college and was stunned when the dorm mother asked me if I would be okay with a Black roommate. I answered, of course, why wouldn't I? And it made me know that there was racism there too, which also broke my heart. But Gail and I became good friends, and she and I occasionally catch up. She's now teaching music at Forest Lake Academy, right over there. Well, that way as the crow flies from where I am. And you will remember, as I'm saying this, hopefully you're remembering the things that you were taught, whether they were verbal or nonverbal, messages in the media. I remember when Nichelle Nichols was the first Black woman to have an important role in a TV show, and she wasn't a secretary, and she wasn't a household servant. She was a communications officer on the Starship Enterprise. She hadn't wanted to take the role, but Martin Luther King told her she had to do that for all the little Black girls in America. And she did. And it was important. So we're going to have some breakout rooms. Now we're going to have the breakout rooms. And this is where you'll get the 2 questions and some time to answer them. We're going to keep our answers brief, 2 sentences if you can. And two sentences per question, 1 question at a time, go around the room. Nobody speaks twice until everyone has spoken once. Okay, so I'll turn this over to whoever is in charge of the breaking out of rooms. I'm not the techno freak here.
Okay, that's going to be me. And
That's smart.
Facilitators,
Judith?
yep, facilitators, please adjust the time that you spend. You all have you have approximately 6 people in each room. So you do not need a full 10 minutes per question. So I will probably break you out of here in about 10 or 15 minutes total. So
Okay.
adjust accordingly. I will click open all breakout rooms, which is what happened earlier. You will automatically be moved to your room, and I will bring you, and you will also automatically come back. I'll take care of that. You don't have to do anything. But if you accidentally get logged out of the call, you can log back into Zoom and I'll move you back into your breakout room as you're willing. Ready, set, go.
And it shows, Paula, how much we have in common and in difference and in in learning. So Paula, would you like to?
I've got just a little bit more to share here. So I'm gonna say this. No one can grow up in the environment in which we live and escape the effects of racism. In this way, the society installs racism on every white person. It does so regardless of how strongly or for how long we actively resist. Racism is instilled in white children at a very young age, often by the adults the children love most and depend upon. Children are conditioned to be racist by repeatedly hearing negative comments about targeted groups, any groups, by witnessing mistreatment or violence turned on those groups, and by being told that people of the targeted groups are less valuable. They're dirty, they're stupid, they're lazy, whatever it is. I mean, we've heard all these things and more. In some cases, adults pass racism on to young people by threatening violence or disapproval. Because white people are often kept isolated from the people targeted by racism, false stereotypes can go unquestioned. The indoctrination of racism begins when we are very young and is fostered by the relative powerlessness of children in most societies. As a result of these hurts, all white people have been conditioned to accept as true, on some level, the lies of racism and to carry racist feelings. Some white people stop questioning these feelings and act out these beliefs in hateful and oppressive ways. Other white people intellectually reject the content of racist messages and try to treat people targeted by racism respectfully and as equals. But even though we may act with goodwill toward people targeted by racism or actively engage in fighting racism, still negative attitudes, unjustified fears, the seeking of approval, feelings of superiority, and so on, surface from time to time. Attitudes that must be battled in order for us to act consistently according to our best thinking. In addition, feelings of sadness, guilt, shame, and hopelessness about racism interfere with our ability to act effectively against racism and to make and maintain deep friendships with people targeted by racism. Keep up the good work. Don't give up. This is from a booklet by Tim Jackins and others. He doesn't mention the names of all the people who helped him write it. Working together to end racism, healing from the damage caused by racism. And it's a great little book, but reading a book will not make the changes inside of you that you need. Reading the book will only help you know where the pain inside of you lies. And once you can, that pain will still need to be addressed with someone you trust, with a counselor, with a support group, with a loved one, whatever you got, use it big time. Thank you. I give you back to Martha.
Thank you so much, Paula, for offering us the opportunity to think about what's in our hearts and our past experience, and know that we will be continuing this forward. In the chat, Chris has posted about our next common read in our congregation. And just thank you. Thank you. Let's extinguish our chalices and join me in the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please, this powerful piece was created by Layla Salins in solidarity with Black Lives Matter movement. I'll let you read the rest quickly and enjoy this powerful video.
Breonna Taylor, Delron Small, Eric Garner, Sandra Bland, Walter Scott, Tanisha Anderson, Tamir Rice, Botham Jean, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Natasha McKenna, Eric Reason, Michelle Cousseau. You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are differently made, and people whose skin is a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people that others may hate. You've got to be carefully taught. Carefully taught.
Thus concludes our service. We end with some words from Martin Luther King Jr., a testament of hope. There comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor politic nor popular, but he must take it because conscience tells him it is right. I have decided to stick to love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. And often heard, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Let's carry those forward in our hearts and know that we want to make this fellowship a safe place for us to share and to understand and build a better world that we can take out of our community. So as we move forward, those of you that really would like to help plan our future programs and events and discussions that will help us delve further into this topic that Paula has so eloquently put forth this morning, please reach out and let me know. And thank you. And let's unmute for a couple of minutes. We have 2 meetings after church today.